going? And welcome to What the Fuck Am I Reading? So this week I only finished 3 books again because honestly one of them has put me in a little bit of a slump. I'm trying to get out of it, but let's just get started with the first book that I finished this week. So the first one was Wrath by John Wayne, which is the last book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. I have already recorded kind of a chatty review about this series as a whole, because the thing is, I like this series a lot, but I have some problems with it. There are so many characters, too many characters actually. There are too many characters, and it's something that I'm not loving. And even though the ending was satisfying enough, it really wasn't that satisfying comparing it to the endings of the previous books. I was more shocked with the ending of book 1 or book 3 than with the final battle. I was a little bit disappointed. Well, not exactly disappointed. I was a little bit underwhelmed. That's the word, underwhelmed. Because even though some of the characters here I really love and I really enjoy following, like McKean and Veritas, some of the others I just don't give a fuck about. Honestly, some of them could have really been erased. For example, I just don't care at all about Rafe. Why is he even in there? I don't know. And one thing that I just don't like about the series is that we progressively get more POVs instead of less. Why is that? I don't know. I just don't want more POVs in this series. We already have enough. One thing that I love about this one is that we always get POVs from the bad guys. And that's something that I really like. Because for a bad guy to be a good bad guy, you really need to understand their motivations. If they don't have motivations, they're a stupid fucking whatever bad guy. Like, stupid, you don't need them, you don't care about them. But some of the bad guys here really have good motivations. You know, it's not something that I will agree on, but they have that motivation. So for that alone, I enjoy that. But some of the evil characters here are just average, like average bad guy. And it's just like, I just don't really need to follow him. Like the hero can come and kill him. We just don't care. I have really mixed feelings with this, which is interesting because it's a series that I actually really like. Like I gave, I think both first books 4.5. Then the third book I gave 5 stars, and this one I gave 4 stars. So it's a good series. Like, don't get me wrong. I will never say that this series is bad because I have already bought the second trilogy. Like, I really like this. But it also bothers me on some aspects that are really important to me. So for that, I have really mixed feelings. This one I ended up giving 4 stars. I just don't want to ramble about this one too much because, you know, we're a recorder, a kind of... It's not a review in itself. It's mostly like my feelings about this series. Honestly, I really like this. Basically, in the first one, we follow this world where giants used to live. Humans came in there, decided to kill them all and banish the rest of them. Now there's a prophecy telling that 2 champions will rise, the Black Sun and the Bright Star, one for the goods, one for the baddies, and we don't know the fate of the world, basically, and they're going to decide it. That aspect I really like. It has many twists on the classic tropes, and that I really enjoy. The things that bother me the most is just the characters. The stupid amount of characters. So many characters, man. Starting these books, sometimes it's just hard because I have to just make myself clear that I'm going to enjoy this even though there's going to be so many characters at the beginning that I just won't remember until later on. And it's just, it makes you work reading this series. But overall, I really liked it. So if you're interested in this one, try it for sure. You're probably going to enjoy it if you like classic fantasy. But yeah, I'm just really glad that I have finished this series because I really want to read Time of Dread and Shadow of the Gods. Even though Shadow of the Gods has nothing to do with this series or the other one, I really like reading in chronological order, so I will do that. Okay, so let's just talk about this book, The Blacktongue Thief. I have so many mixed feelings with this book. Like, I want to say right away that I didn't like it, but I did really like it. But I didn't like it. I still need to write the review for NetGalley, and I just don't know what to put in there. Because there's so many things that I thought were really badly executed, but some of those things were great. So I'm confused. But let me just talk about this one for a bit. So basically, in the Blacktongue Thief, we're going to follow, oh my god, I just completely blanked on the name. Kinch. Holy shit. I was thinking Ninja. No, Kinch. So we're going to follow Kinch. He is a thief, and he is basically part of this guild. The cool thing about him, well, it's not cool for him, but he has this black hand tattooed in his hand, in his fucking face, because he owes money to the guilds. So every novel that he comes across basically can hit him, and he cannot do anything about it. And that's a really cool like thing in there, like part of the world building that I really enjoyed and was greatly implemented to the story. So basically the main plot here is that he's going to meet this warrior from another country, and they have to find the princess. That's the main plot line. Do you discover this plot line in the first 50% of this book? No. So for a long time, this book does not have a plot. So it was already hard for me to follow. But the thing is, the style of narration of this book I really enjoyed. You're basically being told a story, and that I really liked. Also, Kinch's voice, I really liked as a narrator, because he has a lot of sarcastic humor that I thoroughly enjoyed. That part for me was the best. Even though I don't like humor, I connected super well with the humor in this book. And I really like that. And probably my enjoyment of reading this narration kept me going even without the plot. So that is an A+. That is an A+. The thing is, I like not linear stories, but stories that are well connected. You can have like an adventure type book, but I really need those different aspects being connected with something. And I didn't feel that with the Blacktongue Thief. I felt like a lot of things happened because of why not? The story in itself felt like it stumbled upon a thing, stumbled upon another thing, stumbled upon another thing, and nothing that really led to the main event of the book, to the main plot that we're supposed to be having. Like, nothing really felt there. It felt a lot like World War C, where Brad Pitt is just like, oh, I need to go to this country. Oh, I need to go to this country. I need to go to this country. Like, just flying around without a clear plan. Well, it felt like that, and that I really didn't like. Like, sometimes I was just dreading reading this book, and other times I was just like, okay, this part is really interesting. And the other thing that bothered me a lot is that it's really info dumping. It feels a lot like the author just really crafted this incredible world. Like, it's super complex. It's a super complex world. The world I fucking loved. It was great. But it felt like he just wanted to talk about the world instead of having a story in there. So many times, like in every single page, mostly, like we will have like an info dump about something random in the world. Like, he will be playing cards and he will explain to you the whole story behind that game of cards and why it was played like that and why the pieces were, and it's just like, it's something that I appreciate, but I don't need. And I don't need that throughout the whole book. Just like some details I need, because for example, there are goblins here. They used to be like, there was this huge goblin war where just, you know, it fucking trashes the whole world. Like, everything is different after that war. And you need that explanation for some things. For example, there's a city that is actually divided with a chain between the kind of goblin town and the human town. And if you cross to the other side and hit one of the goblins, they can basically fucking kill you and eat you. And that is something really cool. And there's a great scene here that is fucking terrifying. It was fucking terrifying, but it was great. And this was an example of this being implemented greatly. Because, for example, we know that goblins don't like kind of symmetry and everything is weird. And that I really like. But there's a scene at the beginning where I don't even remember what they were talking about, and he was just, oh, the cat. the cats. They were just like, yeah, now we hunt cats. Do you want to hunt some of the cats? And for that, he just goes and explains how this duke, one has this son, and something happened to this son, and then the cats, no sé qué, whatever. Even the Spanish came out, you know. So it stumbles around so much, sometimes so much. I really found myself losing the thread of this story. Being just like, wait, why are we talking about this? What is this? I don't know. Sometimes it was hard. But you see, I really like the narration. I really like the narration, and so many scenes were great. And I also didn't like that sometimes it will just completely skip action. It will just be like, and this is how I win. Boop. Next. So I was just like, wait, have you been fucking info dumping me for 30 minutes and now you're not even just going to give me that fucking shit? What? Or it will basically spoil you the result before the action. It will be just like, this is how I won the battle. And then he will tell you the battle. It's just like, I like the narration, but at the same time, I want to enjoy reading. So if I already know the conclusion, don't give me fucking like 40 pages of that battle, because I already know how it's going to end. You know, it's weird, and I have such a complicated relationship with this because I like so many different things about it. Also, Bully the cat was the best part. The best part. But yeah, it's just confusing. There was too much for such a short book. It only has like 400 pages. And for a fantasy book, it's actually in the shorter side. And there was too much here. Too much world building. Even though I love fucking world building. Like, this is so wrong for me to say, like, there was too much world building. When have I ever said that? So you see, this is going to be such a polarizing book for so many people, because there are so many great things in here, but also some things that are really badly executed. And it's going to be such a mess for so many readers. Like, it's going to be so complicated. People are either going to fucking love this book or really don't like it. So it's going to be great when this comes out to see the reaction. Will I read the second book? Probably yes. Probably yes. I really want to see this getting better and better, because I only needed like less info dumping. Like, I would prefer if you had like a glossary in the back, or like a separate book that was just like the story of this world. And I would buy that, and I would fucking love that. Completely adore that. But yeah, overall, I think I'm going to give this one 3.5 or 3.75. I just don't know. I'm just so conflicted. I don't know what to do. But this kind of put me in a slump. I really want to start the next book that I'm going to talk about. Like, I just want to do that. I just want to read that. This was between great and terrible. It's just, there's no middle point. Some scenes I was just like, oh, can we just end this thing? And some others I was just really immersed. Like, I was loving them. Confusion. Well, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. 3.5 or probably 3.75. Something like that. Then the other book that I finished this week was The Fisherman. This was fucking amazing. I give this one 4 stars because some parts were a little bit iffy and I wasn't like 100% into them, especially the retelling of the story part. But basically in this one, we're going to follow this guy. His wife just passed away. He's been having a hard time and he decides to go fishing to just have something to do and be a little bit, you know, brighter every day. So he starts going fishing with one of his friends. And then one day he is asked to go to this kind of secret creek with his friend. And when they are getting there, the locals are telling them the story of this kind of a secret, but you know, and weird things are happening. Weird things happen. And we also get like the story of the creek within the story, like told from somebody else's perspective. And that part I just didn't like as much as following our main character, Abe. I just prefer Abe's story over that whole arc. Overall, man, this book was fucking great, especially the ending. That was so fucking scary. So fucking scary. This is a horror book and it delivered. It's kind of not like, it's not like jump scary or something like that. It's just horrifying in so many different ways. Like the ending I loved. The last 100 pages were a fucking blast. It's a really short book also, not even 300 pages. But the last part, oh man, was incredible. Thank you so much for the recommendation. I love this. I just know, I hate water. That is my new kind of motto, like, I hate water. That's so terrifying. But yeah, I really like this. Like, this put me out of the slump in a second. I was just like, okay, I really want to read something like this. Like, I want mystery, horror, whatever. I just want something like this. And it was fantastic. I cannot recommend this one enough. If you like horror books, try this one. Just try it. It's fucking great. So for the books that I'm currently reading, I'm really starting 7 Deaths of an Empire finally, because honestly after the Blacktongue Thief, I'm just like been just so drawn to this book. I even tried to start it last night because I was just like, I was so ready to go to sleep, and I was just like, please, can I just read a little bit of this? The chapters are really short, so I think I can fly through this one quite well. In this one, we're basically going to follow a general and a magicker, magician. So the emperor just died, and the person that controls the body of the emperor basically controls the succession. So the magicker is just protecting the body of the king, and the general is protecting the heir to the throne, so they can just converge and have this happen. So for now, it's keeping my attention really great. I've read barely any chapters, but I'm into it. I think this is going to be better than the Blacktongue Thief, or at least I hope so. They are both dark fantasy, so we'll see. But oh my god, I'm just so confused with the Blacktongue Thief that it's been tainting my enjoyment for other books. But this one, I really want to continue reading. I think it's going to be fucking great. Like, I have a great feeling for this one. And then the audiobook that I'm currently listening to is The Minders by John Mars. I forgot to check in what chapter I'm in. Give me a second. So I'm on page 183 right now, currently getting into the middle, basically. And you know what? The thing is, if you haven't read any John Mars book before this, don't start with this, because it fucking spoils the one and the passengers. In the first chapters, I was just like, I thought this was an unrelated book, but it's actually kind of a sequel. Well, it's kind of a companion novel because it's set on the same world, but it spoils those fucking books in the first chapters. So careful. Careful going into The Minders. I will highly recommend you check out The One and The Passengers first. But basically in this one, we follow the Minders, and they're basically people that have been selected by the government to actually storage sensitive information, like really fucked up stuff. So they have this information coded on a DNA that is implanted on them, and they have to protect it. And someone is going after them. Basically, that's the main premise. I'm really liking it. We follow the 5 different minders and their backstory and how they got into being a minder. So that I'm really enjoying. I will probably finish this one today, honestly. It's just super easy to read, and I really want to finish it to see how it is going to end. But yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying it. I will tell you more next week. But yeah, that was basically all that I have read this week. I'm sorry that I have probably just bumped you up a little bit about the Blacktongue Thief. I know many of you are really excited to read it, but honestly, I'm just as pumped as you. Like, I'm so confused. But yeah, have you read any of these books? In case you have read or just want to talk about some of the books, or you have any recommendations, please just leave them down in the comments below. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.